board with Lewis Dallas then for the start of the first of 3 low-cost races. Away we go then. Number 81 car of Lewis Dallas. Right, then we right down towards Redgate for the first time. 13 minutes plus 1 lap race, as it always is with the 70 Motor Club Championships. Lewis Dallas starting on row 8. Just trying to get past Jason Garnett here onto Hollywood, and then down the crane of curves we will go for what we suspect to be something like 9 laps. And Garnett late on the brakes for the old hairpin, dives up on the inside and gains a position there, and then trying to follow him through. Lewis Dallas can't quite do that though, as we head now up to McLean's on board with Steve Wells. Now he's going to try and attack for to gain a position as we head up towards Coppice. We head now down the backstraight down towards the chicane, battling with Vicky Pickles, who's just in the mirror, trying to come around the outside here to gain a position, to gain 2 positions. Under brake in there for the chicane, can't quite do 2, but she did get past Steve Wells, who fights back and out the chicane to get back ahead of Pickles. I think it was Sean Brame just in front of Wells, and in the end Vicky Pickles didn't gain any positions. So we head down to Redgate then to start the second lap of the race. Onto the brakes, down again in front of Sean Brame. I think that's Sean Stafford Atkinson then in front of Brame. Then in front of her is the 45 car of Mark Dragaheski. The car that stalled on the line at the start was Lee Bankhurst. He's managed to rejoin the race. So Sean Graham retired after lap 1, so we're down to 26 cars on circuit. And Sean Brame comes under attack up to McLean's from Steve Wells. Can Wells find a way through here? Tries to come around the outside, won't be able to do that though. Brame has that one covered, and Steve Wells runs out wide. All 4 wheels go over the white line, but we go back onto the circuit as Lewis Dallas started to pick off positions now as we head up to McLean's. He would come through right near the back after lap 1, after and off. So he's now just trying to work his way back up through the pack. To Coppice he goes. He can try get a position here, possibly. Not quite enough room on the inside line there. Car gets a touch sideways. Now we go back onto the national straight down towards the chicane. Defending the line there. Alistair Ecclesfield, I think it is. Round the outside has gone Dallas, so that's another position picked off. Next up is Timothy Pinston Smith. In the slipstream, Dallas says, can he find a way through into Redgate? He's not really putting any advantage on the car in front. In fact, the car in front time to pull away as we head down towards Redgate. Down here goes Dallas, looking for a way through. Hollywood, and then the crane occurs. Next up, Dallas has a very good run off Redgate round the outside into Hollywood, and that will give Dallas a position as we head onto the crane curves then for the 3rd time. And here is what happened to Lewis Dallas on the first lap, trying to gain a bit late in the brake traps and we're going to the car out of control through the gravel trap. Managed to get it, just about managed to get through the gravel trap back onto the grass, but to the back of the pack he went. Managed to rejoin the race and then to gain position. Let's have a look at it again then. Car snaps away, he tries to catch it, but then it overcorrects and the same thing happens once again. And then he finds himself in the gravel trap and at the back of the field. Right, so we can ride back on board of Steve Wells, who makes his way into the chicane once again, still following Sean Brame. Sean Stafford Atkinson just in front, but Brame has Wells has a really good run on Brame off the chicane. Here he comes alongside him, but can't quite do that. He's trying to find himself back in the slipstream once again. Brame starting to pull away as we head down towards Redgate then. For the 4th time, we've got the recovery vehicles down there, so obviously somebody off at Redgate. We've also lost John Bunce. So Sean Graham or John Bunce must be one of those two cars who the recovery is for, as we go down through the Craner curves again then. Down towards the old hairpin. Somebody's gone off. Brain gets it all sideways. Steve Wells onto the grass as well. So we've got 3 cars off at the old hairpin there. Mark Dragahescu, by the looks of things, who had spun at the old hairpin. Let's take a look again then. So we keep Dragahescu off. Brain getting it very sideways. And Steve Wells does. I wonder if there's some fluid down there with 3 cars going off. Then through the grass and then back onto the circuit. Steve Wells went. Right, Lewis Dallas has got a very sideways Mark Roberts in front of him. And Dallas gets a good run off the corner and passes him after Coppice. Through the corner he goes, so Lewis Dallas gains yes another position. Right, Alex von Erheim, this is a replay of what happened to him at the old hairpin. Gains a position to next out, but the car gets all sideways. Then he exits the corner, steering wheel comes out off, and Alex von Erheim just about puts the steering wheel back into position. And you continue the race in a second position. Mike Kuma, the race leader, you can see he's managed to get away. Let's have a look again from Alex von Erheim. And there you go, you see the steering wheel came completely out of position. Managed to just about put it back in before it comes to the next corner. Right, back on board with Steve Wells. He heads up to McLean's then. Just in front of him is a very sideways James McAllister. So this is the battle for 8th position. Mark Dragahescu has now retired from the race, as has Lee Bankhurst. So 23 Locosts on circuit now. As we head out of Coppice down the back straight once again, McAllister's a slight gap he's got to Steve Wells now as he puts himself back in the slipstream. Can he do anything as we head down to chicane then? And up on the inside to tempt Steve Wells here. Managed to outbrake McAllister and through he goes. So Steve Wells gains a position. Board with Lewis Dallas and a very slow car in front of him, leaking fluid. Now I think that may well have been Mark Dragahescu when he was returning to the circuit, but obviously with leaking the fluid pulled off once again. So I wonder if that's why one was going off the old hairpin a few laps ago. McAllister goes back ahead of Wells into the chicane. Can Wells do anything on the exit of the corner? Well, McAllister's a bit slower, so Wells gets the better drive off the corner. And then here he comes then alongside McAllister. The two of them are going to be level across the line. And then Wells is going to try and edge in front as we head down towards Redgate. But McAllister stayed in front when they crossed the line there to complete the 6th lap of the race. About 3 to go. There were 0.04 of a second between the two cars. So through the Craner curves down towards the old hairpin we go, onto the brakes. McAllister staying in front of Wells at the moment. Car in the gravel, that's Lee Bankhurst, so that's where he disappeared to. So McAllister under pressure now, around the outside, which are giving the inside for McLean's. Steve Wells should be able to make this work. He goes up on the inside and through he goes, and Steve Wells gains that position. Lewis Dallas through the Craner curves he comes. He's chasing after Trevor Faunch. He runs in 15th. Dallas runs in 16th. As into Redgate, McAllister gets back ahead of Wells. So the 10 car makes his way back up to 8th ahead of Steve Wells, who runs in 9th. Bit sideways with McAllister there. Wells trying to fight back as we go on to Hollywood. And then the Craner curves. Just to give you a run down the order. Mike Kuma leads. 2nd is Alex von Erheim. 3rd Nick Selby. 4th Lee McNamara. 5th is Sean Stafford Atkinson. 6th is Adam Lucas. 7th is Sean Brame. 8th James McAllister. 9th Steve Wells. 10th is James Garnett. So, up to McLean's we go again. What can Steve Wells this time do about James McAllister? Nothing, it seems. So McAllister continues to stay in that 8th position. Now down towards Coppice. Good run off the corner for Wells. He looks up on the inside here and should be able to get this done. Yes, up. The position goes well. He runs very wide and waving McAllister back through is Steve Wells. So McAllister back up to 8th. Not sure if there were yellow flags out there, what the reason was for waving McAllister back through. But into the chicane then we go once again. James McAllister still in front of Steve Wells. I think we're about to go on to the last lap of the race. So a good slipstream for Wells. He should draft back ahead of James McAllister into Redgate up on the inside line. Yes, he should get this one done with no problems. Down a gear we go as we turn through the first corner of the lap. So now on to Hollywood and then down the Craner curves we will go. Mike Kuma should get another victory to his tally this year in the Locost Championship, the 10th round of the series. This is, although this is about the 10th race of the championship, due to each race meeting being split into 3. Wells again waving McAllister through. I wonder if he thinks he can slipstream him going down to the chicane on the final time. So McAllister through as we head up into McLean's then for the final times. McAllister loses the car. It goes round to Steve Wells. Won't have to wait to the chicane because McAllister has spun the car there. Let's take another look at that. Losing it almost before we start to go round the corner. So that's a pretty safe 8th position for Wells. Meanwhile, the battle for 15th heads down to chicane for the final time. Trevor Thorne should just about hold on to this. Both cars have to avoid Mark Robert, who's tapped right in the apex of the second part of the chicane. So he's retired from the race. We'll have 22 finishers. And 16th of those will be Lewis Dallas. And he seems slightly disappointed with that. But Mike Kuma is your race winner by just over 5 seconds to Alex Van Oheim. 3rd is Nick Selby. 4th Lee McNamara. 5th was Sean Stafford Atkinson. She just beat Adam Lucas, who was 6th. 7th Sean Brame, and Steve Wells, after he's off, recovered to 8th.